We're going to do some news graphics. I'm going to approach it a little differently than I did the other day in class. We're going to try to start out a little more simply. I'm going to give you a folder, and let's browse in Bridge. We're inside the news graphics, news templates folder. So the first graphic we're going to do is going to be a generic over the shoulder. When you look at an anchor and you see a picture over their right or left shoulder, we call it at KABC a portrait. A lot of stations call it OTS, which stands for over the shoulder, or something else. I would normally double click a .psd at work, but because I have 3 versions of Photoshop on my system, I'm going to drag it into CS6 because that's what we're working with here at Ventura. Now you see these guides. You don't want to go past these guides, but as important, and I'm going to open the layer, I just pulled the layers panel out by dragging the name, the tab on the name. Even more important is that I always keep the channels open along with the layers because we're going to be making an alpha channel. Even more important is this. For position only, this top banner, for position only. In fact, the one you're going to get is going to say for position. For position. And I'm going to resave it over where I got it. So what you'll get will be for position. Notice this little white lock on it too. If I turn this on, this is locked. So if we want to unlock it, we can. That's if we want to change it. All right, here is the portrait base. If I turn off the visibility of the black background, this is the shape that goes into the box that goes over the anchor shoulder. We can't, when we have something like this where there's room on either side or the top, that means we're allowed to break the boundary with a logo, or it just adds a little visual interest, but we don't always do that. We're not going to do that with this one, I've decided. We're going to do a standard generic base. Now we never, but we can do this in class, I guess, but we never get images right off the internet. Never. It's copyright. You will get sued. I've known instructors that have gotten sued, not even realizing they used something that was a copyrighted image. But for this exercise, we'll find something that's generic. So let's find a police car. This would be a crime. We'd be looking at a crime scene. Let's go to images. So let's say there's a story. Now we would never use something like this. Actually, police car, Ventura County. Let's see if we can get something like that. Let's see how it, if we can get something very, very generic. That's sheriff, 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 police. Here's police here. So we would be looking, what we do is have ThinkStock and Associated Press for stuff like this. And you can get a lot of stuff like this. We're not allowed to use crime tape because, and a lot of stations do, but we don't. See us, ABC7. I'm going to go back up here and just get something very generic. Oh, police car lights. Let's do that. Police car lights. Something really generic. Police car lights. Oh, this is getting better. So something like this would work. This is very generic. Look at that one. And you want to go to view image to get the best. There you go. Right click, copy image. And like I said, in real life, you would never do this. Never. But for this purpose, I'm going to go back to Photoshop. I'm going down here. I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, you can do the same thing. I'm going back here, and I'm going to go to Edit, Paste. Now, this is a really big image. If you remember, we go to Edit, Free Transform, which is Command T. I'm going to hold the Shift key to maintain the aspect ratio. I'm going to hold the Option key, Alt key on a PC, and grab a corner so it scales from the center and maintains the aspect ratio. That's pretty close. I'm going to move it over here. Now, I want to be able to see what's going to show on the air. Now, this is the shape that the alpha channel is going to be in, because this is the shape of the over the shoulder. The way I get that shape and make a layer mask is I hold the Command key. On the PC, I hold the Control key. See the hand tool? I'm hovering over, I don't have to be on the layer, but I'm hovering over what says Port Base, meaning Portrait Base. If I click on it, I have to make sure I'm in the Move tool now. If I click on the thumbnail, this little square, the shape comes up, and I click down here, add layer mask, and that's what the shape is going to be. So this is the shape, and at this point we have to turn back on the eyeball so that the black is behind it. We have to turn the eyeball off for the gray. I don't know if you're going to be able to notice, particularly on screen right. Let me move the layers panel out of the way. See that little edge? See how it just went away, back, went away? You want to turn this off. If you're covering the whole background, you want to make sure you turn it off before you make the alpha channel and before you make multiples of the final image. So again, we're going to make the outfit. First, we're going to merge everything but the black. And you can go here to the flyout menu and go down to merge layers. It knows that you want to merge the layers that is selected. Notice that the layers that are selected are in blue. So they're merged. Now at this point, and the reason you don't make the alpha channel until you merge all layers that make up the image is in case you have something that breaks the boundary of the box, which I think I've said before, but I'll say it again because I'll do it when I make the chip, which is like a tiny version of the over the shoulder, which this is, or portrait as we call it at KABC. But you also, here I'm going to hold down the Command or Control key, depending on what platform you're on, and click the thumbnail of the shape of the image, not the black. See that? There's your marching ants. And then you go over here, down to the bottom, to the little mask icon. It does different things in different panels, the mask icon does. And click. There's your alpha channel. We're almost done. The final thing we do, just to be on the safe side, since you saw a little bit of that peeking through, just to be on the safe side and make sure that the image doesn't pick up any wayward black pixels, we copy this image, this composite, and we flatten it. In fact, I may even do another over the shoulder just to show you that. I will. So I'm going to Command or Control J 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. And then we're going to go under Layer, the drop down, and Flatten Image. Now we have something that's ready to send to a place we call playback. It either goes from there to an edit bay where they edit it into the program, or it goes right into the VizRT that puts it up on the air next to the anchor's head. We have also animating over the shoulders. They're looping over the shoulders. That's a whole different ball game. We're not covering that in this lesson. So there you have it. Now we have what we can save as a targa. So we go to File, Save As, and wait for a little twirling beach ball. Aha. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning. I have made, there's your news templates, there's all the stuff you need to do the assignment. I'm making the tutorial. I'm going to have this already made, a folder for your PSDs, because you have to save a layered file of almost every graphic except maybe a headshot. And then a Targa file. So this is going to go in the Targa file. I'm going to double click, and I'd already saved it, so I'm going to save it again just so you can see, because if you redo something, you're going to have to know how to do this anyway. It's going to ask me, do you want to replace it? Yes, I want to replace it. It's got to be 32-bit if you want it to see the alpha channel. If you want it, and if it doesn't see the alpha channel, it's going to be a big square with black sides, and that's not going to look good on the air. If it sees the alpha channel will cut out the shape. Okay? So we've saved that. Close that. Now that we've closed that, we're going to do a head. Now a headshot is used in things that we call like photo teases, etc. I may include some examples, but I think your best bet would be to go to KABC's website and look at the video and see how this imagery is used. These headshots, let me go to File, Browse and Bridge, and this is our head's base. You notice there's none of this designy stuff going on. It's just a black rectangle in a vertical shape. So I'm going to drag this down to the Photoshop icon down here. Like I said, you don't have to if you only have one version of Photoshop on your machine. And I'm going to go out and look for a picture of a mugshot, let's say. I'll go to Chrome, and let's see if I can just type in mugshots. Well, there are hilarious mugshots here. Let's take a look. Why not make a hilarious mugshot, right? Okay then, I remember doing this one. She's dressed up as a zombie. It's a Halloween deal, so she doesn't look like that. It was a drunk driving. I guess being picked up on Halloween is not necessarily what you want to do. That's pretty funny. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look at those. I'm trying to figure out which one to pick. He looks pretty pissed off. So I think I'm going to right click, copy image. I have no idea what he did. I'm going to go back to Photoshop, and I'm pasting it in here first, I'm going to make a new file by going to File New. Now, when you go to File New, notice it says Preset Clipboard. It always looks at the size of whatever you copied. I'm going to make up a name for this guy. Jim Smith. There's probably a million Jim Smiths out there that if they see this, they'll get. How about Jim Sims? That's better. So that's the size of the image that I have to work with. So I'm going to just say, okay, Jim Sims. There it is. It's a smallish picture, which we don't generally like. When they're too small, we have to blow them up. They look worse. But if I was doing this for real, I would save this in our library in People, so that if his name comes up again, the next artist doesn't have to go searching for a picture. Like I said, we would never get this off the internet. We would get a sanctioned version from either the sheriff or police department, something like that. So, but what I will do is go to Quick Select, which we have used here in Photoshop. I don't want the brush size to be so tiny. I don't want 4 pixels. I want about 11. With Quick Select, I usually work with somewhere between 9 and 11. I often just select a couple of little parts of the picture. See the plus sign? Then I'm going to hold the Option key on the Mac or the Alt key on the PC and say, I have a minus sign now. What I'm doing is I'm going around the area I don't want. And Photoshop knows that. I'm telling Photoshop, I don't let up on the key. I don't want that. Don't select that background. And then it makes it easier for me to select the person. It doesn't always work perfectly, but it's pretty cool. So there we've got him selected. Now there's a few areas. I don't worry too much about stuff like this, because when it's not the perimeter, you don't have to worry too much about it being looking jagged. But it's not perfect. So down here in the Layers panel, I'm going to click the Layer Mask icon. See how it says Add Layer Mask? Now it needs some help. See that? So I am going to right click on the mask and go to Refine Mask. And then I'm going to put it on a black background. Nope, not like that. On a black background. That's the view mode. That's all it is for you to be able to see where it looks crappy. The first thing I'm going to do is use the smooth slider. That helped. I'm also going to shift the edge and adjust edge a tiny bit more. That helps. You have to be careful because then you'll get rid of the ears. Decontaminate colors. It picked up some background color. I'm going to click that. Now that is a destructive move, so it will make you, there are some things that won't make you. It won't work on your existing layer mask, which is fine. It'll give you another layer mask and picture. So I'm going to go in the direction of high. Not anything magical happening here. Low. Well, that's in the opposite direction of what I want. I'm going to see if I paint. That brush is way too big. So I'm going to use the bracket key to take it down. And just up here around the hair, I want to paint just a little so he doesn't look like he's got a helmet head. Now, honestly, with mugshots and stuff like that, people that did something, I'm not that concerned about making them look beautiful, but I don't want our artwork to look crappy. I'll probably have to go out and do a few things. Right here, I can see I'm going to shift the edge in just a little bit more. And I may have to do a little touch up. So I'm going to say okay. I'm going to say remember settings, just because I want to show you that you can. Okay. And now that's what this guy looks like. So, because it's a layer mask, and I believe we've had layer mask in this class, now, and I've softened the edge, I'm going to get a regular brush, and I'm not going to use one of these bristle brushes. That's crazy. Let's see. A regular brush. Click out here. Now, that's a little on the large side, but I'm going to paint with black. See, I have white here. I'm going to hit the X key. I'm going to paint with black. I wonder if this... See, I'm just painting on the layer mask. So if I take too much, I can go back in and bring it back. No, that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Now remember, this is not our headshot yet. This is the file that I'm saving to the library so that if somebody else has to go get him, they'll have the mask already done. They won't have to do another one. I'm going to again hold the Command key, Control on the PC, and click this time on the thumbnail of the shape of the cutout. See there? And I want to color correct his face. I don't want the white in there because it'll impact my color correction. I'm not using adjustment layers because I'm working news and working fast. I only use those if the auto adjust doesn't work, if this doesn't work. Oh, and oops, see, I make this mistake all the time. I'm not auto correcting the layer mask, I'm auto correcting him. I just have marching ants around him so that the white isn't included in my autocorrect. So I'm going to go Command L, which is the quick way to do it without a layer mask, and I'm going to hit Auto. It changed it a bit. I'll do undo, redo, so that looks better. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to add just a tiny bit. Let's go to Filter. I don't know if this really needs to be sharpened. Unsharp mask. That looks too much. Let's turn off preview and see. A little too much. I'm going to take down the amount and the radius, and let's see. So it takes a little bit of the softness out. I'm not sure I'd waste my time on this on a mugshot. I would on a say, the MVP of the World Series, or a star, or a politician. So now I can I'm going to right click on the mask and see how I come up with this contextual menu. It has the refine edge in it, but it's also got apply layer mask. So that means he's on a transparent background. I'm going to go and do Command D or Control D on the PC to deselect the marching ants. So I have him separate from all of the background. I'm going to get my move tool and move him up and to the head's base. See how it lit up? I can't let go yet. I can't let go until my cursor's inside the picture plane. On a Mac, you only get that black arrowhead. On a PC, you get a white arrowhead with a box that has a plus in it. See? He's in there. Now, I know my boss likes us to make sure the eyes are as horizontal as we can make them. These are good. These are guides we have. The chin can't go below here and the head can't go above here. Weird things can happen. So Command T, free transform. I have to now make this guy bigger. Let's see. Too big, too big. Let's see. That might be okay. Let me move it down, down, down. Actually, I could even make, I'm not going to go to the very edge because I saw what happened once when it went too far to the edge. The machine went a little wonky, and it aired this very pixelated version. So I haven't gotten out. You can get out of free transform and move him. He's not quite centered. So I'm just going to, 1 pixel at a time, move him so he's centered. I'm very lucky in this instance that there's enough t-shirt. Really, the part that shows on the air is probably somewhere in here, but sometimes we get headshots that are cut off here, and we have to make a neck and add a t-shirt, which is a real pain. And I don't know if this work path, if that's what that's about, or somebody accidentally left that there. I have to find out, but I can't find out until Monday. And I want to do this now. So there's our headshot. We don't really need paths. I don't want to confuse you, so I'm going to pull the paths out and close it. These are the 2 important ones that we need. Now, this is again another instance where, the headshots are the only ones we do not save the PSD. We only save the Targa. This is another instance where I have to copy this multiple times. I'm going to, what I usually do is make the alpha channel now from because I had to resize him. So again, I hold the command key, click on the thumbnail, see the little hand with the little square of dots? Click. There's my alpha channel. I don't have to worry about what's out of scene. What I like to do to be on the safe side is I go under select, modify. See where that is? Select the drop down menu, select, right in the middle is modify, and then contract. And I just contract it 1 pixel for when I make my alpha channel, so that no black, again, fringes around his head. And that's why I'm going to copy it multiple times also. So I'm going to click OK. See, it just went in a tiny bit. Make the alpha channel by clicking over in the channels panel. So there's my alpha channel. And now since I have to do this almost every time, make at least 10 copies and smush it all together, what I do is I make what's called an action. So I'm going to go up to the window, go to actions. This is another, I guess it's living with right now, history. Now here are my actions. I have I save my own folder of actions, but you don't have to. You can add it to the default. For years I added it to the default. Now I move from computer to computer. So for a while I was moving my actions, but I can make them pretty quickly now. I'm going to make an action, new action, and it comes up with this dialog box. And I'm going to say copy, flatten. So I know that it does copy, flatten. I'm going to put it on a function key. I believe it will work on one of my function keys. The keys sometimes at school, they don't let you have access to them. They don't let the teachers have access to them. So it's hard to teach this part. But if Shift or Command gets check marked, that means you're going to have to use a modifier key. I try to find a function key that I don't have to use a modifier key because I want it to be really fast. So I'm going to record it this time, so I have to do it by hand when I'm recording it. I'm going to click record. Notice the red button here says I'm recording. I'm going to go to my Command J. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to go up here to layer, because it's a layer thing, flatten image. And then I'm going to, this little square will stop recording, and also the flyout menu I can stop recording. So now I have this action. And there's no way for me to obviously show you this on the air. It looks like there's see all this stuff, extra stuff from that we didn't have before. What I used to do a lot in the beginning just to see what it would look like when it was cut out by the alpha channel, is I'd go to the alpha channel and I'd get the marching ants. I'd click this, see how it made the marching ants? I could have done it the way I've been showing you guys too. See, look at where the marching ants are. None of the what's outside of the marching ants is going to show on the air. None of it. None of this. Sometimes I have to add back in some ear. But I'm going to do a Command J just to be sure to see what it looks like. Because I can always change it now. Double click. Go. That's fine for a mugshot. You don't want it too crappy, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I might try to make the hairs a little bit better if it was a star. So I don't need this. I've got the alpha channel and this, and what's going to show, like I told you, is what is the white part of the alpha channel. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and this guy, what did I say his name was? Oh, Jim Sims. Huh? Jim Sims. I'm going to go down to Format, change it to Targa. I want to include the alpha channel, and it will. I'm in New Templates. I have to go over here to Targas, or I can go to News Graphics and open Targas, and I'm going to save heads jimsims.tga. It saves the alpha channel as long as you have it at 32-bit, and there are times you don't want to save the alpha channel, trust me. Okay. And done. We did a head. Okay, now we did the head. I'm going to close it. I've got it saved as a PSD. I've got him saved in the library in case he ends up being somebody really bad and we have to use it over and over again. I'm going to, you can save it or not save it. I'm going to save it. So what if there's an extra layer? Better safe than sorry. But it gets saved in the library, and I don't have a library in here, so I'm just going to make a fake one. Let's see. Let's go into, I guess I'm going to give you guys another folder. New folder, library. Guess I'll do that. So I'll give you all these folders. Create, save Jim Sims, and we're done. I'm going to, I made a library folder. I'm going to save this, save as. This is the picture of Jim Sims. See, I saved it accidentally before. All right, when we go to close this guy, it's going to ask, because I've done a lot of stuff to it, it's going to say, do you want to save it? Now, I would normally put an alpha channel here and just his picture. Sometimes I save it with all these cutouts. So what I think I'll do is click here, get the alpha channel, put it there. Don't even need this white background. Just I'm going to clean up the, and you don't have to, by the way. You can do it however you want. As long as you have the shape and the picture, I'm just going to delete it because I have the shape. I have the alpha channel. See, this is what I've got. I'm going to Command D to get rid of those marching ants. So the next person who comes in here and has to use his picture, I'm going to save this in the library. Save as jimsims.psd. I'm going to change it to a TIFF. We change them to TIFFs at KABC. Probably we're in that habit because sometimes we get very good high-resolution images, and a TIFF is what printers usually want, and we could use it in marketing. So I'm going to save Jim Sims, save TIFF. Okay. Okay, including layers and I could have saved it just the way it was. It really doesn't matter. So there he is, and if I ever need him cut out, all I have to do is go over here to the alpha channel, click the marching ants. Oops, no, sorry, I have to be on the alpha channel. Click the marching ants, go back to him, and then Command J, there he is. Awesome. And I'm going to backtrack in the history panel because we didn't really need to do that. And we've got this picture saved in the library. It's going to ask me if I want to save again, I think, because I've done some things. We've already saved it, but what the heck, I'll save it again. Oh, now it's saved the PSD. Sorry. I'll do another over the shoulder when I'm at the very end in case you want to see it or feel like you need to see it again. But right now we've done a headshot, we've done an over the shoulder. I've given you a lot of information about alpha channels, actions, keyboard shortcuts, and modifier keys. I'm going to go into File, Browse and Bridge. Now these are our finished targas. If you remember, and I'm not sure how much we went over the bridge, they have breadcrumbs here. So the targas are in News Graphics. And what we need are the templates. So I'm going to double click. And this time I'm going to get the chip base, which is kind of like a tiny portrait base. It goes in the lower thirds. If you watch on TV, local news, you'll see lower thirds where they put the person's name, and sometimes there's an image, especially on KABC. I'm going to do a lower third the way I did it at KABC the other day. I'm going to open the chip base. Oh shoot, see, I just opened, where's quit? There we go. I'm going to drag the chip base into Photoshop CS6, and there it is. And that's at 100%. So it's very small. I'm going to make it just a tiny bit bigger, and when you zoom, it looks jagged, but it doesn't look jagged on the air. I made a sugar skull for the Day of the Dead. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go, and now of course I went to ThinkStock because we do it legally, but I'm going to go here and go sugar skulls and see what I can find, if I can find anything similar to the one I used. Let's see, images. I know I wanted to use one with a background that had a lot of stuff to it because we prefer not to. I mean, there are times we do use our existing background and let it show through, and then there are times we don't. And I haven't done one that we haven't, so I will be. But I want to see if I can find a sugar skull similar to the one I used. And this black and white one might be okay, but we have a gray background. So I would like to find something a little bit. Now this one seems to have a lot of stuff to it. I might use this one. Let me go a little further down. Sugar skulls. There's gotta be what I want. This one has more stuff to it. This one right here might work really well. I'm going to go just a little further down. I think I'm going to go with this one. Okay. View image to get it at full res. There we go. Right click, copy image. Go back to Photoshop. And this time I'm just going to paste the image right into the chip. Quite large, really. And I'm going to free transform it, Command or Control T. It's also under Edit. I'm going to grab a corner, hold the Shift key and the Option or Alt key because I want it to go from keep the aspect ratio and move from the center. So I'm going to make it a little bigger now. Of course, I want to make sure the chin gets in. Move this like that. That might just work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make another one, Command J, and turn off the eyeball for a second. And I want to see how much of this gets cut off. So I have to get the marching ants that are in the shape of this thumbnail that's in the Layers panel. So what do? I hold the Command key or the Control key until I see that it says Layer Thumbnail and there's a hand with a thumb and marching ants. And I am going to put that as a layer mask. I'm going to go to the first skull, go down here to Layer Mask. You can clearly see it's going to cut off the top, which is fine because we have another one here and all I need is the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the top, Command J. I'm going to have to make sure I'm on that right layer. Cut off the top, turn off the eyeball to this one, and get rid of this pink stuff around it. So I'm going to go to the Quick Selection tool, and I'm going to select, hold the Shift key, select, delete, Command or Control D, and not too shabby. It's a little rough around the edges, so I'm going to bring back the marching ants and go up here to Select, Refine Selection. There's a button, Refine Edge. If you don't see the button, you can always go in here and go to Refine Edge. You get the same box that you do when you do Refine Mask. I'm going to do it on black. It's still got the settings from before. So that might be okay. I'm going to turn that off a second. And I'm going to move the Shift edge, not quite so much. And I'm going to turn off Decontaminate Colors. And I'm going to click OK. So there is my sugar skull. Now remember, I have to save this. Now the only reason you see what looks like an alpha channel, it's not. It's the layer mask because the type is italicized. So if I go to a different layer, you see it disappears. We will need an alpha channel. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a save as in case somebody comes back and says, we don't like that sugar skull. So I'm going to save as, I'm going to call it Sugar Skull. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go backwards to News Graphics, the whole folder, and go to the PSDs. Open that up. Remember, we did not make it's Photoshop format, save. So we've got that. Now, because we're covering the entire background, we're not just putting something on the background. I'm going to turn the eyeball off so we don't pick up any of the gray. When I merge these 4 layers, just because I want to get rid of that, anything with the eyeball off will just get absorbed. It really won't see it, but it'll get rid of it. So I'm going to go here and merge layers. So there is the shape that I need for my alpha channel. So the next step is to hold down the Command or Control key and click on the thumbnail. Now, I've been using the shortcut, and I always used it, Save Selection as Channel. You have gone to Save Selection before. And if you don't put a name in here, it'll call it Alpha 1. Let's just do that. Alpha 1. So that's what it's going to cut out. Now, you remember how I told you when you copy multiples, it's because you don't want it to pick up any black or anything else other than the color. Well, this is where I'm going to go Command D to get rid of my marching ants. This is where my action comes in. I'm going to go back to my action, and I put it on, I believe it was F10. Let's see. Yep, here it is. See, it says F10, copy flatten. So I'm going to click that, but I'm going to, on my keyboard, I'm going to hit F10. This is what I do at work. Boom. It made what I need to save as a targa. Believe it or not, it made a bunch of copies of this. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm going to call up the alpha channel. Just hold down the command key or control key. Now look, you see how outside the edges there's just a little bit of what the picture is? That means when it's keyed into the lower third, it won't show any black fringing, because the only part that will show is what's inside the marching ants, nothing that's outside of the marching ants, because the marching ants represent the shape of the alpha channel that you saved. So I'm going to go to select, deselect, just, you don't have to, but just because. And now I'm going to do save as. I'm going to go back here to News Graphics, open up the Targas, change the format to Targa. Remember, I have to use 32-bit, and the last one I did was 32-bit, so that's going to be okay, and I'm going to save that. I'm going to double click this so it goes back to the normal size, and when you see something like this on the air, it will punch through, and a little bit of the skull will punch through. As long as you don't go beyond this black border, you're okay. If you do, it'll cut it out. It'll chop off the top of the head. So that is a lower third. So now I'm going to close this, and the next thing we're going to do is a custom full screen. And then I'll backtrack and do a different kind of over the shoulder. It's going to be similar to what I did here, where I have a shaped alpha channel that isn't just the size of the template. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to File, Browse and Bridge. Here's my templates. I'm going to open the custom full. Oh, I did it again every time. I double click and it opens it in CC. Quit. Okay. Drag it to 6. That's okay. And we've got our custom full screen, and we're going to go over this. Here's what's called a custom full screen where I work. I'm just getting some things out of the way. The things I keep open all the time are layers and channels. Now, this particular template is used in a lot of different ways. We used to have to keep things inside here. This is safe action and safe title, just so you know what it is. We did do a movie in this class and saw what safe title and safe action was. This is the center. The guys are showing us what the center is. And this is something that I do turn on a lot. We don't have to worry as much or as often about this. And we do use this overlay when somebody wants a title. They also have this in another place where if a producer needs to put quotes, they can do it themselves. We haven't done the vertical yet, but that's what a vertical will also go there. And sometimes the headshot that I showed you earlier will go inside of this template, and then you'll see it there. So we don't always make it, but it is a comprehensive template. The one thing that we do, I use this for position. I always check to make sure. I usually turn this off. And I only use this for position. I just don't want it going into a part of the image that we need. Where I work, we don't always put an alpha channel. If there's multiple images in terms of a story, we don't put an alpha channel, because if we do, it's going to cut the image and put an animating background behind it. So I often will not give it an alpha channel if I have more than one. If I have one, I will give it an alpha channel so that there's an animating background if they so choose. So I use this just to determine where my image goes. The other thing that I use a lot is the courtesy. Okay, right here we have the courtesy, and we often put a courtesy on, and I'm going to put a courtesy on this one. So if I put the courtesy on, I have to remember to put the image below the courtesy. So I am going to bring in an image. I'm going to go look. I went and got an image of the Rose Parade, because that will be coming up. Now, if I put the image like that, I would add an alpha channel because it's not filling the screen. We're going to put the courtesy Ventura Times on it. Actually, let's put a courtesy, let's change it. Because it's in Pasadena, let's make it Pasadena Times. Perfect. Now that means we have to make the banner a little longer, so I'm going to Control T and pull it out so the P is under it. It looks like the copy could just move. I have to make sure I'm in the move tool, so I'm going to hit the V key. So we go up to the move tool, and I'm just going to move times, not too much. So now it's going to say Pasadena Times because that's who we got it from. So if I were to just make it this size, I would do this. I would, again, hold down the Command key, click the thumbnail of this layer, go over here, and there would be my alpha channel, and all this would be animating on the air. A picture like this is so nice. I can probably blow it up and I won't need an alpha channel at all, regardless of the fact that there's one image. Custom fulls, sometimes we save them as PSDs and sometimes we don't. If I'm a little concerned that something might change, I will save it as a PSD, either in the PSD custom full folder or on my desktop, because I think something might change during the day. So I'm going to go back to my image. Now my image is in, this is what happens to me often, it's in the source courtesy folder. So I just moved it out. See, when I close the oh no, I didn't. Well, that's good to know. There, see, it shifted right. Now, when I go to this image and go free transform, I think I can blow this image up, but that might work. I'm going to go without an alpha channel. And what I'm going to do is do a save as. I'm just going to save, and it's up to you whether you want to do it with or without an alpha channel. This is it for this. A courtesy and a picture. If the picture doesn't fill the space, then you will add an alpha channel. It's up to you. So I'm going to go, this is custom base. I'm going to put Rose Parade. Rose Parade. And I'm going to get rid of the PSD because when I change it to, I'm going to go back here down to the Targas. And I'm going to go change it to a Targa. And I'm going to save. And I'm going to change it to a 24-bit because it doesn't have an alpha channel. Click OK. And we're good to go. And there is the custom full. In thinking about it, I've decided I'm going to do two of these. One with an alpha and one without. I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to go back to Photoshop. And paste. Now this cannot fill the screen. It's a vertical. What I would do is I know the size of this and I know dead center is 640 and here up here, you can only see these numbers when you're in free transform, by the way. Watch when I go, well, first of all, I'm gonna make this as big as I can make it. There we go. And see, the numbers are gone. If I go back to free transform, Command T, see, where it says 640, That's dead center. We have these numbers. We know that. So there you have it. That one needs an alpha channel. So they have a choice if it's the only one again, but I'm going to make the alpha channel. This is a custom full with an alpha channel. Let's say it's the only picture we have. So there's the alpha channel. I'll click here. There's the alpha channel. And then I'll go save as Rose. I don't know what that, Rose Parade Dinos A. You are. I'd go back to in news templates. I'm sorry, in TGAs. Oh, news graphics, because then there. Open TGAs. Save as. Since I've already got Rose Parade, I needed to differentiate this one. I could have put a 2, but this time I'm going to save the Targa and with the alpha channel. So I'm going to change it back to 32-bit because it's looking at the alpha channel. Red, green, blue, and the alpha channel. 888, and then the alpha channel 8. So each channel is 8 bits. Okay, there's the alpha channel, and I've got this saved, and that's the custom full screen. We've done this one. I'm going to do one more over the shoulder. So I'm going to close this, and I'm not going to save it. I'm going to go Command W to close, and I'm going to hit the D key to say don't save. I'm going to, one more time, I'm going to open Browse and Bridge. There's our templates. I'm going to get the portrait or over the shoulder base, drag it to Photoshop CS6, and this time I'm going to make a portrait over the shoulder that needs an alpha channel that's slightly a different shape because of what I'm going to do to this. I'm going to look for a movie star and some kind of logo. I'm getting a picture of George Clooney. So I'm going to go view image. That's a pretty good high-res image. It looks like there's enough of him there. Copy. Sometimes you don't have choices, but I had a choice here, so I'm going to do a file new, so we have it in our library. Remember that? New. But we probably have pictures already, so I'll go George Clooney 2. I'll change, I'll go okay. There, I'll paste it, and because I'm a nice person, I'm going to cut it out for the next person that needs a George Clooney shot. So I'm going to get my trusty quick selection tool. Is that what it's called? I have to hover over it. I'm going to select some of him, and then I'm going to remember, see the plus? I hold down the Option or Alt key and say, I don't want you to include this in the rest of my selection. This just helps me make a decent selection, and it makes it just easier for me. So see, now I'm getting the rest. I let go. I'm sorry, I let go of the Option key because now I want to be back in the plus mode. I still might have to do some touch up. There's good old George. And there's a little bit there. Oops. Hold down the Option key to get rid of that. There. So I am going to add a layer mask. Oops. That's not good, huh? All we have to do is paint with black. I'm sorry, white. To bring the eye back in. There we go. And there's a few little spots where we might have to bring some stuff back in. I can see it right here. See, I'm painting only on the mask, mind you, not on the picture. So all I'm doing is hiding the background. Just in case I come back to this and realize I've cut something off or, you know, got something, added something. So I've got that. Oops, oops, oops. I think it would be better now to go and refine mask. I'm going to put him on a white background because I think I could see more. And I'm going to smooth it just a tiny bit. And shift the edge just a tiny bit. There we go. And I'm going to say okay. Now it came in on a white background, so there really isn't. We don't need that white background. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the command key and get the marching ants because I want to give this a levels. This looks pretty good. This picture's pretty good. Auto. Oh, changed it a little bit. And then I'm going to go to filter, unsharp mask, sharpen, unsharp mask. That's a little too much, so I'm going to take the amount down because it doesn't really need it that much. Let's see. Turn preview on and off. When a person's got some age to them, and he's, of course, doesn't hurt him, but you don't want to sharpen too much because then it accentuates wrinkles and stuff like that. So you really, when they shoot talent, they use a soft light. So we'll just leave that. And so we've got this picture of George, right? And I'm going to save it in the library, save as. And whoever comes in has the layer mask, so they're good to go. I'm going to call it, I'm going to give it a TIFF format. So I'm going to go back and I have to find the library. There it is. George Clooney 2, save, TIFF, okay. And then I'm going to, just so you can see what's going on here, I don't need I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to make a copy of George here. Command J. I'm going to turn off the eyeball down here. And I'm going to go up here to view, window, arrange, tile vertical. So you can see both of the files we have open. And this is another way. I'm in the move tool. I'm going to go here into the picture of George Clooney and bring it in here. And then I'm going to go back to arrange and consolidate all tabs. Sometimes you have to do that. One thing I'm going to do, see these guides? Two things I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate him so his eyes are more on a horizontal plane. Then I'm going to hit return. Then I'm going to free transform again so that he doesn't break the boundaries of the, I'm going to make him a little bit smaller because don't forget, I'm going to move this down. We have this banner that some producer might use. You don't know why or how or when, but there might be some event or date they want to put on there. So look, far from perfect, right? So we use smudge. Sometimes you just can't tell. It's under here. It's this little finger-like thing. You can also make sure I'm on the right layer. Smudge it. Oh, I've got a strength of 50%. I wanted it at 100%. So I'm just going to smudge this down. I'm going to put a layer mask to hide the shoulder going off because that's not what I want to break the boundaries. I want something else to break the boundaries, not the smudged shoulder. So there's George. I'm going to give him, I'm double clicking and I'm going to give him a drop shadow. I want the drop shadow to go in this direction. I'm going to soften it. And I'm going to click OK. I'm going to separate the drop shadow from the image, create layer. See, what I did is I went over here, right-clicked on the word drop shadow, and went down here to create layer. And in blah, 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 some aspects of the effects cannot be reproduced. Fine. And see that now the shadow's separate. So I can put a layer mask on both of them. Now, what logo to use? Under TV guide, that would be a good one. Let's do a TV guide. That would be funny. TV guide logo, where is that? Yeah, let's do that. That's nice and big. Awesome, great. We'll put the TV guide logo. Copy image. I would save logos in the library if we didn't have them in the library. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to actually go File, New. Remember, oops, I'm still in Chrome. File, New, TV Guide, oops, guide. Now in the library, I would have a separate logos folder, a separate people's folder, stuff like that. We don't have that here. That's fine. Okay, and then I'm going to paste it. I'm going to cut it out. Now here's the thing. Here's a white background. We don't need this. Let's toss this. This is actually pretty easy to cut out. I'm going to select it, the red, with my quick select tool. This didn't get selected, but I'm just going to go, now it's all selected. I'm not sure that TM is going to show. I just might get rid of it because it might look like dirt. There's my alpha channel. See, it's rounded corners. And I'm going to be a nice person and do a save as. Again, I'm going to leave it as a TIFF. I'm putting it in the library. Now, so I've saved that, right? I want to get the outline again. And Command C, copy paste, and then this doesn't always work. If I go and Command V, it worked. So I'm going to shrink this logo, and I'm going to have it bust through the right side a little bit. I also wanted to have the same drop shadow. See, I blew that because I separated the drop shadow too soon. So I'm just going to add a drop shadow and basically guess. Oops. Distance. And I do know I made it go in this direction. And I softened it. So don't separate first. Now I have this thing, and I think I said it in other lessons, but I'm not sure. I like the drop shadows separated, but you know, I see some edging around there that I don't like. So I'm first going to I'm going to refine edge a little bit here. I think it would show. Well, I don't know. I'm going to shift the edge a little bit in and go okay. And that way I can Command J, throw this one away. There. And now I don't see white edges around there. I have to I'm going to separate the drop shadow. Remember, right click or hold down the Control key on the Mac, but you can right click on the Mac, and preferences, you can change your mouse. Right click on the word drop shadow, create layer, okay. So now we have George's shadow and the logo shadow. I'm going to get the shape of the object, the template, and put that on George's shadow. Then I'm going to hold the Option key to copy it onto George. Then I'm going to put it on one more, the shadow for TV Guide, so it's not busting the boundaries. But what I also need is this logo as part of the shape now, because this is what our final is going to look like when it goes on the air. So again, since we're using this background, we don't turn it off, we leave it on, and we select, we don't turn this on. This is just for position. And I'm going to merge all of these. And this I can merge too. We don't need, it won't show. We just want to get rid of it, really. So I could do a Command E, and that would do it. Look at, see, merge layers, Command E or Control E on the PC. There it is. Now I'm going to make my alpha channel, hold down the Command key or the Control key on the PC, Notice how it now, I'm going to move to the move tool. Notice how it includes the TV Guide logo. I'm going to make my alpha channel. I'm going to show it to you. See it? So it's different than what if it didn't bust the border. And now, remember, I made an action because this is one where we have to make multiple copies so that it doesn't pick up the black background. I know the action is on F10, but I'm going to just bring up the actions window so you can see it. There's actions. There's copy flatten, F10. Layer via copy a bunch of times and then flatten. So I'm going to hit F10 on my keyboard. You may not be able to use the function keys, especially at school, so you might just have to hit go down here. Maybe that's what I'll do this time, go. And there it is. Flattened image with alpha. There it is. Oh, did I save the PSD? I didn't. Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. Because I have so many history states, I'm going to go to right there, do a save as, and I'm going to call it George Clooney. See, I do that. Don't think I don't. George Clooney, TV Guide, and I'm going to save it in the PSDs. There we go. It's a Photoshop format. Save. No alpha channel. That's just the layer mask. And now I'm going to select everything again. Command E to flatten. Take this before I copy it. Make the alpha channel. And then hit F10 because that's where my action is to copy and flatten. And now it's copied and flattened. I'm going to do a save as, and this time what am I going to save it as? A Targa with an alpha channel. So Targa format, and save, and it is 32-bit. Okay, and now we've got an over-the-shoulder that does have a slightly unique shape to it. We are using the template background in this kind of image. I've done a number of images. The last thing I want to do is I'm going to browse in the bridge. Let's see, where is it? Browse bridge. Oh, it's thinking. Maybe I'll edit this out. Here in the news graphics are folders. You're going to get a news graphics folder. It's going to have library in it, news templates in it. This is going to be the MP4 that I'm going to make for you that I'm also going to send you a link to. You don't have to do that. That's my tutorial. I'm keeping it in. This will be the actual movie if you want to take the actual movie. You're going to have a PSDs and a TGAs. Over here on the left, I like to look at what's inside a folder over here rather than double clicking so that I know that's the folder I want. So here are the ones I saved as TIFFs. Here are the templates. Here are the ones I saved as PSDs in case another artist has to go in and change it. And here are my Targas. So this one has an alpha channel, I know, and so it can have an animating background. This one fills the screen. These both have courtesies. Pictures don't always have courtesies, but these both have courtesies. This poor guy is our example of a headshot, and there you have it. There's the Targas. There's what I'm attaching to the order or sending down to playback, and we're done for the day. I'll fill out my timesheet.